Well, hello, students. I got a couple of requests to help with the personalized semester by semester plan. I'm going to go over a couple of things about how I would fill out my spring 2026 semester. Spring 26 will be here before we know it. And so I showed you some of this in class on Wednesday, but I'm going to spend a little bit more time going into the next part of the template where I don't have anything filled out. So again, just to refresh everybody's memory, you have to use the template as it is. It needs to be aligned like it is. So if you make any changes where you do something, that's gonna, I don't want it to look that sloppy. So everything needs to be aligned and nice and neat. You're going to fill out your general information. You're going to fill out your current semester, whatever that happens to be for you. Fall 2025 is the current semester for everybody, obviously. But I mean, if you're a transfer student, you may have additional semesters before you get to this current semester. So I did have a few questions about that. So you will just need to make this whatever semester you started in college at and update it from what you did if you happen to be a transfer student. So let's talk a little bit about the semester by semester guide. I'll go in and then do the spring semester. I have already downloaded the semester by semester guide that is in the bulletin. Now, remember, this is an idealized plan and doesn't fit for all of us. And so what you'll immediately notice, and again, this is for the ACS Certified Chemistry Program, based on what I put in as a starting ACT math score, I'm starting at Math 101, College Algebra. So I can't start at Calculus 167, and that's perfectly fine. But I've got to build my degree plan based on this, right? So what I've done is I've gone through and I've actually highlighted the things that I have already put into my current semester, right? So Chemistry 106, I checked that off. Chemistry 106 Lab, I checked that off. Chemistry 108, of course, you're in that class. I checked that off. English Composition 1, I also checked that off. And so my Math 101 is in place of my Math 167. It does not replace Math 167, but only in this semester does it replace it, right? We still got to complete Math 167, but I have to start a little bit earlier than most. And so I need these classes, and so I talk about why I need those classes here very nicely. And you'll also notice in the semester by semester guide it says select one course, and that is in the GECO4 area of art, music, dance, or theater. You will also notice I did not put that on my current semester because in talking with my advisor, if I was to put another 3-hour course in there, my hours would be much greater than 15, and I just don't have the time this semester to take more than 15 hours. So I opted to take a 1-hour fitness walking course. Okay, so I did not put a second one, but I do have the Theater 100, so I can check that off. Right? And so if I didn't have the fitness walking course, I would have had 14 hours. I needed 15. I didn't want to take another 3-hour course that might be required somewhere else. So I am good to go on checking off things for my first semester. Now, what you notice in the courses that are scheduled, I'm in Math 101. That's a prerequisite to Math 103. So if I go to the bulletin and I look up Math 103, that's the next class I need to take in the sequence because Math 103 is required for calculus if I don't directly place into calculus. And so I didn't directly place into calculus and I didn't directly place into Math 103. So I've got to do 101 and 103. So the next semester, I'm going to have to put that Math 103. You'll also notice that Chemistry 106 is a prerequisite to Chemistry 107, another required course. So my Chemistry 107 and its lab are going to be in the next semester as well. I don't need a foundations course. I will also need an English 102 course because I got to take 2 courses of English composition, remember, from our discussion of our semester by semester guide on Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the second semester on this semester guide, and I'm going to see what I need to take. So obviously I need to take Chemistry 107, 107 Lab, I need to take English 102, and then it says I should be taking Calculus 2 with Analytic Geometry. But I'm behind on my math, if you will. I'm not in place. I'm not really behind. I'm just placed differently, right? So I will need to put Math 103 for that Math 168. So I will make a note of that here so that I don't miss it. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next semester, and I'm going to start listing my courses. Well, I know I got to have chemistry, and I'm just going to tab over. I got to have 107. That's General Chemistry 2. It's 3 credit hours. Use your tab key, right? And what is it a prerequisite to? You will look that up, but it is a prerequisite to 255, Organic 1. And here we just have to list the prefix and the number. So I've got that. I also need to take the lab, and again I will use the tab. General Chemistry 2 lab. You can abbreviate lab, that's fine. It's a 1 credit hour course. Okay, and it is a prerequisite to Chemistry 255 as well. So there I've got 4 hours. I'm going to take my English 102. It's called Composition 2. It is 3 hours. It is actually a prerequisite to my Chemistry 461. That is our writing intensive course. So actually both English 101 and 102 were that. So I could have put Chemistry 461 there as well, and should have. And so I've got that done. So that's going to get me to my English Comp. Through my English Comp 2, I've got 7 hours now. I need to take that math class. So I'm going to take Math 103. Whoops. Hit the tab key. Don't do what I just did. This is plane trigonometry. 3 hours, and it is a prerequisite to Math 167, the course that I need for this particular major. Now I'm up to 10 hours. I need to pick an elective of some sort. They are suggesting that I select a course in one of my public speaking. So, I think that's a pretty good idea. So I'm going to take CMS 111, public speaking. And again, the tab key, make sure you hit it the right number of times. It's a 3-hour course. It is not a prerequisite to anything other than I need to have that before I take my capstone course, but it is not specifically listed as a prerequisite to my capstone course, so I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, so nothing there. All right, now I've got 3, 6, 9, I've got 13 hours. I need to at least be at 15 hours to keep my scholarship, so now I got to think about what other courses I might want to take. And it turns out that I am particularly interested in maybe starting it in my humanities class. And like I told you before, I thought Philosophy 151 was a great course. So I'm going to take Philosophy 151, Introduction to Philosophy. And I'm going to abbreviate the philosophy here because it's going to start crowding in on my other area. It's pretty obvious that that's okay. That's a 3-hour course as well. And it is not a prerequisite for anything that I need. So it's generally one of the humanities electives that I can take. So I think this fits pretty well. For me, I've got 5 3-hour courses. Okay, that's 15 hours, and then of course the lab gets me to a total of 16 hours. And so when I go up here to the top, you'll see that I just have that listed there. So I need to tab over and not bold it. So it bolded this when I did that. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to unbold that, and I'm going to tab it over one time just so it aligns with all of the credit hours. Now I'm going to talk about why these courses. And so you all will develop this on your own personal time and your own personal, your own personal situation. So you'll need to address this however you want or however you need to. But you will definitely need to say something along the lines of this. I am taking, and then again it's bolding. Make sure it doesn't bold and italicize when you do this. I am taking CHE 107 as it is the next course in the chemistry series that is required for the major. And you can also abbreviate. I'm taking Chemistry 107 and its lab, so you can abbreviate like that if you want. Okay, I am taking English 102 in order to fulfill my GEC 01 requirement on time. You're actually supposed to complete English 1 and 2 your first year here, so this will allow me to fulfill that requirement. I am also taking Math 103 to fulfill my prerequisite needs for Math 167, which is the required math course for this major. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about the other two courses, right? So I chose to take CMS 111 as my friend was also taking this course, and I thought it would be a great time to complete my speaking intensive requirement. So you'd say something along those lines, and then also mention Philosophy 151. I am choosing Philosophy 151 after hearing the exciting description of this course from Dr. Masterson, and thought it would prove helpful for my college journey. Type it up however you want to, but basically there I am. I have explained why I'm taking those courses this semester. Then you're going to have to fill out time management. So it's pretty obvious with 16 hours, this is a pretty full load. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. This semester will have a large course load and will require me to spend approximately 30 hours each week on outside study commitments. Remember, for every hour of classroom work, you're expected to be spending about roughly on average 2 hours outside of classroom doing homework, assignments, studying, reading, learning, right? Put yourself in that learning cycle. So I'm going to talk about that. So that means this semester will require approximately 46 to 50 hours of time to dedicate to the university, to my studies and learning. Let's go back up here and take a look. What else did I say I was committed to? I'm not in a fraternity. I'm not in honors college, so I don't have any commitments there, right? And so I should be good. And then I'll just mention here, I plan to have an on-campus job in the library. I'm just making this up. As a work-study student. And will need to keep my job to no more than 15 hours each week in order to have sufficient time to study and learn the material. I will not become involved in outside commitments this semester and will hold off on those until I have a semester with more flexibility. The CHE 107 lab will require more class time than a typical lecture, and this is also being considered. So you can see right now this particular schedule, even though it just looks like 16 hours, it actually is quite substantial. So what I want you to do as you're building this is I want you to think about your time management for that semester. That doesn't mean that this won't change in the future for you, but at least you're thinking about the types of courses that you're taking, how many hours you need to commit to that, and what kind of outside commitments you may have. Do not just copy and paste what I wrote here. I made this all up off the top of my head, but this gives you an idea of the type of things that I'm expecting. I'm expecting you to think about your curriculum in this way, okay? And so then you would go down to the summer. I'm not planning on taking any summer courses, and it says for me to write not applicable in the why these courses field. And so I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to write not applicable and be done with that. And then you can move on to the other semester. So I hope this quick little video helped you understand how you need to build your entire semester by semester guide. You'll notice that everything is nice and aligned for spring 2026. There's none of this stuff going on where it's all out of whack. Do not do that. Make sure that everything is nice and aligned. I would highly recommend when you're done and you're happy with your product, you take it, you feed it to something like ChatGPT or to let your Word spell checker check it for spelling, punctuation, that kind of thing. Kind of get it nice and clean. Notice I didn't use any spelling or grammar. You'll also notice I also didn't go over to the next page. So you got to keep these things within the space that I have allotted here. I still have plenty of space had I wanted to talk a little bit more. But notice I did write a fair amount. It wasn't just one sentence. So this is what I'm looking for in your personalized semester by semester guides. And then after you're done and you're happy with everything, I would highly recommend that you save it as an Adobe PDF document before submitting it for to turn it in, because the PDF will make sure that your formatting transfers essentially seamlessly. Sometimes when students upload Word documents for whatever reason, it will throw off the formatting. So I highly recommend that you save it as a PDF. I also highly recommend that you work on this in Word. Each student has free access to Microsoft 365 as part of their being a full-time student. So you can go to the iTech webpage and download that if you haven't already. Highly recommend you do that. I have found that working with these types of things in the Apple version of Word, I forget the name of it, even though I'm here on an Apple, I don't use it very often, or LibreOffice or something like that. Quite frequently it will mess up the formatting. So this template was developed in Word. You all have access to Word. I highly recommend you use Word and not use something like the Google version of Word or the Apple version. I forget the name of that. So that's it. Yeah. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Happy to help you. This will be due next Friday by 5 p.m. So is it next Friday by 5 p.m.? I think it's the 12th, right? It's due on the 12th, I believe. Check your syllabus for that. I don't have that right in front of me, but it's very, very important that you have it turned in by the due date, by 5 p.m. Remember, we do not do 11:59 p.m. due dates. It is 5 p.m. for this particular course on Friday for most things. So, have a great weekend, and I will see you all later.